Good morning and welcome to Mornings with Clayton. I'm here with Empedocles, Aristotle, and Plato today. We are going to discuss their different opinions on elements and death and dying. We will also have each share their different views on knowledge. It's going to be a great show, so sit back with your coffee and enjoy. Let's begin with the elements. Empedocles, what are the important elements that make up the world today?
Well, Clayton, the important elements that make up the universe and the world today are earth, water, air, and fire. It is because of all these elements everything has come into being. It can be stated easily like this. Pleasant earth and her well-made crucibles obtained 2 parts of bright nestis out of the 8, and 4 habitats and white bones came into being, fitted together by divine glues of harmonia. This is how the universe was created. And I'm different from many other philosophers because other philosophers believe in only one arche, or one substance that has made up the universe, but I believe in many. And I also believe in a cosmos which is an ordered universe instead of chaos.
Earth, water, air, and fire? Are they the only elements?
Yes, they are.
What do you think, Plato?
I agree with her, but to only a certain point. I believe the physical world must have bodily form. It must be visible and tangible. Hence, its ingredients must include fire and earth. Since fire and earth will be combined, there must be at least one other ingredient that serves to combine them, something like maybe water. Since fire and earth are solids, we require 2 intermediates to combine them. Hence, created air and water, and arranged all 4 elements proportionally as fire is to air is to water, and water is to earth. As we will see, we have not reached the bottom of these 4 elements here. There are geometrical atoms which these elements are composed, which these atoms differ from Empedocles' 4. Like Empedocles, though, I recognize there are 4 elements: earth, air, fire, water, underlay all physical changes. But unlike Empedocles, I found a common atomic ingredient underlying the elements. Hence, I can explain the transformation of one element into another. This is known as the cosmos. Cosmos are all geometric shapes, such as triangles like the 30, 60, 90, and the 45-degree triangle.
I agree with you guys, but I have something to add. I would like to add a 5th element, ether, which is a divine substance that makes up the heavenly spheres, so the planets and the stars. I believe that objects are most real, that all the elements have qualities such as hot and cold or wet and dry, which are immediately apparent to anyone. I had ether as the core, reasoning that whereas fire, earth, air, and water are earthly and corruptible, since no changes have perceived in the heavenly regions, the stars cannot be made out of the 4 elements, but must be made of a different, unchangeable, heavenly substance.
These are all good points on elements and how the universe came to be. But we must move on to another topic, and hear about all you feel about death and dying. Many of you have different views on this. Who would like to start?
I'd like to start, Clayton. I believe that death and dying is simply a change of the elements. It is a transformation from one element to the next, and nothing really perishes or dies. And I also believe in reincarnation of all things. So when something dies, its soul moves on to another life. So,
Aristotle, what are your views on death?
Well, I believe that the soul is a mortal being. Many of traditional Greek conceptions are of the soul that it is holistic, but I believe the soul is a separate entity that requires a body to exist, and thus is incapable of surviving death when it is detached from its form. One example of my forward thinking is that, contrary to Plato, I associate substance with specific forms and view abstractions as the creation of imagination. This substance is not moved by some external force, as Plato contends, but rather the soul itself is the mover. I see the soul as an embodiment of reason that was fueled by a sense of purpose. In other words, the soul is the culmination of an assortment of life forces, each of which is defined by distinctive faculties. From this, I conclude that the soul is a collective force that returns to this collective upon the death of an individual soul. I cannot bring myself to believe in something created out of nothing. I believe the soul is a descendant to earth in the form of life originated in heaven.
It's some pretty good thoughts there, but I think it's a little wrong, but I think it's right. And I define death, kind of like her, as a separation of the soul from the body, but it's not the end of the soul. I believe in metempsychosis. That is the transmigration of souls from one dead body to another living one, and in reincarnation, the rebirth of the soul in new bodies. Phaedrus offers proof of this soul's immortality, proving the existence of gods from self-generation motion. For all soul is immortal, for what is always in motion is immortal. A question is raised with this view: how do I know the soul is always in motion? I think that this is the nature of the soul to initiate its own changes, to be self-moving, rather than be merely moved, like she believes. On this view, something that is self-moving can neither be destroyed nor come into being. I believe that only a soul of a philosophical lover of knowledge and virtue of traveling beyond the process of rebirth to ultimate fulfillment.
Thank you. Now the moment you've all been waiting for. We're about to hear the philosopher's view of knowledge. First, I would like to hear from the great Empedocles.
First, I would like to point out that I take credit for the first view of vision, and I came up with the idea that light streams out of our eyes and touches objects. But when it comes to knowledge and perception, I believe we only see parts of things and not the whole. Humans think that they see the whole of things, but they only see the parts of them. But the philosophers, they truly see the whole.
Oh, okay. So now let's hear from Aristotle. What do you think?
Well, I believe knowledge is just the start of your life. I believe that you must search for knowledge, which then leads to wisdom, and that ends up leading to self-realization and happiness. Happiness, you can only achieve happiness with knowledge. My concept of happiness, there are two acts. There are rational acts and there are irrational acts. Rational acts are based on the use of the mind, and which means that rational acts are exclusively human. Therefore, human nature is rational. I also believe that with these rational acts, as a poolist, you will become happy in the end, and you will lead a separate life with equality from God, but not human.
Oh, that's very insightful. I've never looked at it that way.
Thank you.
Last but surely not least, we will hear Plato's insight on knowledge.
Well, my view is almost completely different and kind of out of this world in a literal and figurative sense, because I believe that our knowledge is gained by remembering knowledge originally acquired in previous life. Like I said, with death, you don't die. Your soul, well, when you die, your soul just moves to another body, and you remember that knowledge. And we learn by recollecting what, in fact, the soul already knows. So if we already know it, is it really learning, or are we just recollecting? I'll offer you three analyses of my knowledge. The first is that knowledge and perception are the same. The second analysis, that true belief is knowledge. Unfortunately, our good friend Socrates couldn't make it because he ran into this unfortunate event where he got put to death. But Socrates disproved this by saying that when a jury believes the defendant is guilty, by just hearing the prosecuting attorney's rambling rather than of any solid evidence, it cannot be said to know that the accused is guilty, even if in fact he or the jury's true judgment falls short of being knowledge, saying they don't really know, but they're just guessing. A third analysis, that true belief accompanied by a rational account is knowledge, whereas true belief unaccompanied by a rational account is distinct from knowledge. The only problem with the analysis revolves around the word account. All interpretations of account are deemed inadequate. Since it's an experience, you're not really recollecting or remembering anything, so therefore you're not learning. Whereas if you're remembering or recollecting an account that happened maybe in a past life, you're learning and you're remembering that, so that could be considered knowledge.
And that just about wraps things up. I would like to thank all the philosophers for being on the show today.
No problem, Clayton.
Hope to see you guys soon. Thank you. Green tea. It was something.